Hi, everyone. How are we doing? We're going to give it a few minutes, so we'll get started here at about 11:33, 11:34. Looks like we've got Margie's here, Cape Cod. Nice. Good to see you, Margie. What's up, Roger? How you doing, man? Bay Area. Gotta love the Bay Area. I've got family there. I'm here in New York. Carolyn Sheehan, good to see you. Brian is here. Patricia is here. Andrew with Chirag Shah Coaching. If you guys don't know Andrew, he is a superstar. He is our superhero behind the scenes. Let's see here. I'm going to rename myself so people know where I am from. Pelham, New York. Right.
My daughter lives in Larchmont, Mike.
I actually used to office there. There's a co-working space in Larchmont that I love. And I officed out of there for about a year and a half. We go to Larchmont all the time.
Yeah, the one right in downtown.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Idea Kitchen. Where does she live in Larchmont?
She's right up, right from the downtown off of Hillcrest, across from St. John's and I don't know, St. Paul or whatever.
Yeah. I know right where it is. That's cool. Nice. How long is she? Are you from New York? Or are you?
No, we're Bostonians, but none of my kids live here. They all went away to college and nobody came home. She's been there now. My granddaughter, my oldest one, is going to be 13. She's probably been there 11 years.
Okay. Very nice. Cool. Barb Huck from Spokane. Hello. Right. Let's see here. Who else just joined us? Shanna Yang from Bellevue, Washington is here. I can see almost everybody. Hey, Patricia, how you doing? Ashok, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. You're reminding me right now, Ashok, with where you are of there it is, like Tim the Tool Man, and he had that neighbor who like you never saw his face. It was just always the nose. Love it.
Now we can see it.
Now I can see you fine. All right, Brian is here. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see here. We'll give it about another minute or two as people are still joining. It's actually not bad here in New York today. I think it's like 50 some degrees, which fingers crossed we are out of this. I don't know what's happening in California with you people, but this blizzard thing that you got going on with like 10 feet of snow seems bananas and 190-mile-an-hour winds. Like it doesn't seem like planet Earth.
Yeah, we need all that.
Perfect. Yeah, have an open house.
There
you go.
It was a big hailstorm yesterday in Fremont.
That's nuts. Wow. Rebecca Riley, how are you? You got coastal New Jersey.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Where are you, Rebecca, in the coastal side? Are you like Margate South or where are you?
No, more central. So I'm in the Fairhaven office.
Okay.
So if you know Jersey, like
sure.
it's like it's really central, near Sandy Hook. Yeah.
Cool. I know right where you are. Fantastic. Welcome today.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We're going to keep this super precise today. I am back to back, so I have a noon. So I'm going to keep us on point. We are going to talk all about, obviously Thursdays with me is always prospecting. You may see me come in and do some negotiation stuff for the Revenue Roadmap crowd, just because negotiation has been my expertise for 15 years. But when I do these sessions, everything is focused on prospecting. Everything is about lead gen and conversion and things of that nature. So today we're going to talk a little bit about third parties, leveraging third parties. If you don't really know what I mean by that, it means having partnerships with mortgage brokers, attorneys, inspectors, contractors, things of that nature, and what to look for, and really just kind of how to set the right expectations and set the stage for that today. So let's see here. Let me share my screen. Andrew, can you give me a thumbs up? Just let me know you guys can see this. Fabulous. Excellent. As always, guys, in the chat, best place for us. If anyone needs to ask a question, we don't have 100 people on this call, so it's very easy for me to manage. If you want to come off mute to ask a question or stop me somewhere, that's fantastic. If not, please make sure that you Oh, it looks like Andrew, did you just take back over the host? I just lost my
Yeah,
screen.
sorry, I had to mute somebody, but please feel free to reshare.
No
Yep.
worries. And feel free if you want to make yourself the co-host, I can also handle the mutes. All right. So let's just jump right in. For those of you who don't know me, again, I've been in the business for 23 years. I've taught real estate all over the country. To date, I've taught about 35 different states, and my specialty has been law and ethics, which is why negotiation is always my topic. But prospecting and sales is such a fun topic for me because it deals with people and humans and connection and relationships. So let's just jump right in. One of the key ingredients to any successful business is building a network, right? If I were to line up the top 100 agents in the country, right? Not even just the top agents at Compass, but the top 100 agents in the country, what you'd find is that one of the most basic correlations that every single top producing agent has is that their habits of building a network are astounding. Like they have the habit of making new relationships on a weekly basis. They have a good CRM. They've got a great way to maintain those relationships and nurture those relationships. Like building a strong network is something that they've become experts in. And I think that if you were to research and study in other industries, you would find a correlation, especially in sales industries, that network is one of the key ingredients to having a successful business. So a part of this conversation today is about looking at your network and looking at your mortgage lenders, looking at attorneys, looking at people within your marketplace and saying, okay, how am I leveraging these particular relationships for success? I know that there are many agents, probably some on this call, that have great working relationships with third parties. And what I'd like you to do today, you don't have to do it right in this second, but I'd like you to put in the chat about how much business do you think you generate a year through your third-party relationships if you're somebody who feels that you have a lot of advantage there for that. So let's go here. So specificity is our goal. Every time I talk to somebody about their advances, and when I say their advances, the activities of them trying to connect the dots with third parties, when I see agents struggle in this environment, oftentimes it's because they lack specificity of what they do as a real estate professional, right? There's 2.1 million licensees in America. The average consumer knows 7 licensed real estate agents. So when you start to then line up all of your vendors, from mortgage brokers to attorneys to contractors to inspectors, et cetera, the number of real estate agents that they know is gigantic. And so most agents struggle with niching down when it comes to these types of partnerships or leveraging these kinds of relationships, which can distract from them becoming a point of referral. If I'm an attorney and I'm like, okay, I've got a client here who's now looking for a property, there's 15, 20 names that probably come to mind right off the bat. If though they're like, we're a first-time home buyer, that might narrow the field of the relationships that I have if one of my relationships is a specialist with new home buyers, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to corner yourself or niche all the way down to something where that's all you work with. But when it comes to relationships, helping relationships know how to identify the right kind of prospect for you is very, very important. And so keep in mind today, one of the very first tips I have for everybody is just ensuring that when you're working with third-party relationships, you niche down to the point where you are very specific the type of client or property that they can help with, right? Or that you can be an expert with. And we'll go into more detail of that here in just a second. Again, with the chat, if you have questions, put all of your questions in the chat. I see Maggie, you also said maybe 2 deals, 10 to 20%, Brian, of your business comes from like that kind of third-party referral. Is that what that meant? Perfect. All right. We'll jump into that in detail. Some key traits I look for. You know, when I was early in the business, when I was young, a lot of the people that I was attracting were also young. They were also early into their careers when it came to the profession of mortgage or, you know, contractors or law. And so I've learned a lot of hard lessons where I've spent a lot of time developing relationships that got out of the business, right? I think some of the key traits that we look for is, number one, we want them to be an expert in their field. We want, above and beyond everything else, we want to work with people that are obviously that have a high caliber of service to clients, because if this is going to be a two-way street, we want to feel comfortable referring clients to them just as much as we are asking for a lead or a referral from them. So expertise in their field, I think, is a key trait. Top-notch communication. I need someone who can get back with me, who's going to converse with me, who, again, would kind of work in the same realm as you would. I almost look at these relationships as a mirror. You'll see number 3 on here is a career or serious professional. Guys, there's nothing against someone who is part-time. That's why I didn't say full-time versus part-time. But there are people that are just doing this on the side. And unfortunately, they're not going to take your relationship with them as serious as you would like them to. And so really, really high producing third-party relationships, this is their career. This is what they do, right? They're serious professionals. And even if they're part-time right now, they're doing everything that they can to become full-time, because that's how vested they are in the business. So that's a key trait I look for. And the last one I put an asterisk next to, but I said close proximity. That is relative or subjective, right? Like close proximity for me might be very different than someone in Denver or someone in Massachusetts or even somebody in San Francisco. So I think that when we look at proximity, it needs to be somebody who they're likely farming regions that are close to them. And so the clients and leads that they're likely going to be able to provide to me, I want to make sure it's going to be in my wheelhouse, in areas where I want to work, in areas where I know I can reach, in areas that I know the marketplace and the data in order to provide excellent service. But the asterisk just means that is kind of a subjective element there. So what do third parties want from you? There's going to be a portion of this that I'm going to open up our kind of chat for discussion. But if you think about like what do they want in return, it's basically the same list. And I used to spend time just asking people like, you know, hey, you obviously get clients all through the year, Mr. and Mrs. Mortgage Broker or Mr. and Mrs. Attorney, right? How do you choose who you send them to? What are those agents doing that's different? What do you depend on? What are kind of the traits that you're looking for? What are the skills? And it really came down to kind of a mimic of the same 3 things that you guys were looking for. They want someone who's professional. They want a real estate agent who can succeed and excel at the service above and beyond everything else. That they know that when they send that client to you, like there's a high probability that that client's going to close. Okay. Number 2, they wanted to know what your actual target was. I've heard so many times, guys, from third parties that will say, when an agent tells me I want leads and I say, great, what kind of lead, you know, do you specialize in? And they say, well, anyone who wants to buy and sell homes. That is not specific. That is so vast. That is so large. That is everywhere and all encumbering, right? If I were to say first-time condo buyers in this very specific region of this very large city, right? If I'm in, let's say, San Francisco, actually don't know any regions in San Francisco, other than the Castro district. If I said, okay, you know, I sell condos for first-time home buyers in the Castro district of San Francisco, that's very specific. Now, my lead source might say, well, I don't get many leads there, right? I don't get a lot of clients there, et cetera. So then I could work with that third party to kind of identify where is the volume of their leads and where is the specific niche within their environment that I can specialize in. Then they know that that client that they get comes to me. They know that that phone call is going to be my specialty. Okay. So having a specific niche, I can't stress this enough, helps your third parties, guys, know when and who to send your direction. Because without it, again, unless you are the top producer in your marketplace and they're already using you for other things and you're just constantly top of mind, it's not likely that the lead is going to come your direction. Okay. And then last but not least that I hear from every single third party is I want leads in return. Right? It's a handshake for a handshake. It's I want to be able to grow my lead volume in my business through your clients just as much as you want to build your business through mine. So just kind of consider the same things you're looking for in a professional is the same thing that they're looking for in a professional, right? There are certain attorneys, there are certain mortgage brokers that only specialize in very specific programs. And so I wouldn't be using them for everything. That's why it's good to have multiple partners in these sectors. I'm going to check my chat to see if there's any questions. Looks like we're doing pretty good so far. Excellent. All right, so quality third parties. Here's 5 that I like to teach or talk about all the time. Mortgage brokers are probably up there with one of the most high producing. And one of the things that I really love about the mortgage industry right now is that if you're a digital lead person, like if you work the Zillow environments or have wanted to, most mortgage brokerages, companies, finance companies, loan companies, they have a budget to pay for your Zillow leads. And Zillow actually has a great lead program that is specifically set up for vendors to pay for your leads, in which when a lead comes in, the vendor gets the information and you get the information. You guys kind of work it together, but they handle and pay for the entire program. So mortgage brokers are great. They're great lead sources. More and more people today, guys, are getting pre-qualified before they go out and look for a property. And so I think that it's one of the most essential places for you to have multiple contacts and multiple partnerships. Lawyers, not every lawyer obviously does real estate. Not every real estate lawyer works with transactions or residential. The ones that I have found to be probably the most important, or the ones that really, if you niche into this marketplace, and be careful when I talk about this, but divorce attorneys, right? If you can deal with the drama and the emotion and kind of the overall conflict that comes with that environment, it is an excellent resource. And if you can cater to those particular types of attorneys and offer something special that helps fix problems that their clients or their situations have, it brings you right to the top. Like, that can be a great lead source. Estate lawyers, estate attorneys, right? We get a lot of estates that pass and sometimes have to go to probate, and sometimes need a real estate agent to really put in time in order to sell the property and make the family whole, etc. So estate attorneys are great. And then business attorneys that work with small business entrepreneurs, right? Who they're selling their house, they're moving somewhere, they've opened another business, their business is succeeding. It's kind of on the third ladder for me, but it is something that I've been able to develop lead generation or lead volume from in the past. Insurance agents, again, everybody who buys a home is likely going to be required to have insurance. And so insurance agents are great resources, especially if someone starts to look at, okay, well, you know, what would be the insurance on this type of home? Those are the type of leads and situations that you want to immediately be contacted about, because that's a good signal that they're actually looking. You'll also notice that a lot of these third parties, guys, they're going to require your ingenuity and your involvement in helping them kind of isolate and determine at what stage is it beneficial for you to be involved. What are the comments? What are the conversations? What are the deal points in which it really is showing them, because they're not a real estate agent oftentimes. They're not, you know, in the business to buy and sell. So they're not used to pinpointing conversations that are already starting to show opportunity there. So this is part of your job and what you bring to the table. Contractors. I love contractors. If you like the investment side of the business, contractors are great. But there are people that will absolutely, you know, hire a contractor to remodel the kitchen, and they will say, we want to remodel this kitchen because we're looking to sell. Like, that's an early in. I want those clients. I want those conversations. I want to be a part of the pitch with the contractor to help show what is this property going to be worth after the kitchen is remodeled. And then last but not least, again, probably further down on my priority deck is home inspectors, but more and more sellers, again, kind of like people that are getting pre-qualified sooner and sooner. More and more people, especially on the seller side, are getting a home inspection before they sell their home. And so when there are people that are contacting home inspectors and saying, hey, you know, we're thinking about selling, we wanted to get a home inspection done just to kind of see what's going on with the home, this is a great opportunity for you guys to enter the picture at that stage. So these are all quality third parties that I recommend. If you have other third parties too, I did get the question the other day. Someone always wanted me to remind people that we could share it in the chat. So if you have other third parties that I didn't mention, but that you like to work. So like I know earlier, Brian, you mentioned you get a portion of your business, obviously from third party relationships. There were a few other people that also chimed in. If they differ from my 5, please put them in the chat. finally, kind of the last things to consider. To make relationships successful, it always has to start with expectations. And I think the biggest expectation that doesn't get met and can kind of erode this third-party lead system or situation is just the expectation of what does lead volume look like, right? You might see somebody who's super successful, but they say to you, listen, 9 out of the 10 transactions or loans that I write every month come from actual agents already in the business, right? Which means that's one deal a month that may work for them to be able to send your direction. Does that make sense? So you always want to have an expectation conversation around what is the volume leads. If you're doing 20 transactions a year, it would be false advertising to think that you'd be able to send them 2 to 3 leads per month, right? So expectations are first. Then the conversation though is about how will we work together? Like, what does that look like? Will we do events together? Will we, co-brand together? Will we talk to clients together? What does it look like to send me a referral? How does that communication work? What's my kind of process of pre-qualing that person, just so that when they're talking to a consumer, they're on the same page of what you are. It's kind of getting to know each other's businesses, if you kind of think of it that way. Conversations around will we co-spend on ads? There are a lot of assumptions that are made, guys, when we have conversations with third parties about a joint venture or a joint marketing effort. And if they're used to spending money on ads, they may be expecting that you will start to share in those costs, and vice versa. So talking about ad spend or cost. Educational events, already mentioned that. And then just how often will you reassess? Is it going to be once every 30 days? Is it once every 60 days? Is it once a quarter? I wouldn't go further than once a quarter, guys, without reassessing this relationship and sitting down and just kind of recalibrating those expectations. Okay. So that's a lot about what I'm bringing to the table today as far as education. What I'd like to do is open this up for conversation. And I think one of the biggest things that I want to put out there for you guys to get answers on is just what can you do more of that will generate these kinds of relationships. So for those of you who have, Brian, do you mind if I put you on the spot just because you are someone who chatted?
That's fine.
Tell me a little bit about what your third-party relationships are. You said about 10 to 20% of your business comes from them. Can you give the group just a little bit of an overview?
Sure. I mean, my mortgage banker obviously gives me leads. Attorney, less so because the attorneys tend to be downstream from us. But once in a while, they'll get, the real estate attorney will get a client and we'll send them my way. Wills, trusts, and estates attorneys, divorce attorneys are excellent sources of referrals. I'm in a B&I group in New York, which is Business Networking International.
Yeah.
If anybody knows about that, but there's only one seat per profession. So
right.
we have a mover, we have a mortgage banker, we have a dentist, we have doctors, and so we meet every week and we do givers gain and we refer to each other. And so
That's
the more we get to know each other, the more we get referrals. And it makes me a great resource too, because all of my clients need these services.
Yeah, and you're Manhattan, is that where you are?
Manhattan and
yeah,
Queens.
so obviously, the lawyer game in Manhattan's a little different. If you're in a title state, I have not found title. Well, there's a lot that title companies can do for our clients, and there's a ton of services and a ton of things that they can do. I've yet to really find one that was great at like lead volume. And I see a couple people like shaking their heads in agreement to that. Like, title companies are fantastic, but they're not typically a source that consumers go to pre-transaction or pre-real estate agent. It's rare. It doesn't mean that they never go there, but I find it's more investors, commercial real estate owners, building owners that might go and be working on a title cloud or something of that nature, in which they then need to employ or empower a real estate broker. Again, that does not mean that there's not a great program with your local title company to generate leads. It also doesn't mean that they're not a great partner when it comes to using their budget to pay for a volume of digital leads or capture for you. Many are willing to or able to do that. But that's great, Brian. Thank you for sharing. Who else? Either you're stuck or you want more information on it. What else we got from people today?
Sorry, Brian, thanks so much. That was really helpful. I'm not in a BNI group. And so I'm just really wondering like how I even start those conversations. Like I thought about this like for a while at the start of the year. And so I reached out to a few professionals like in real estate adjacent fields and like kind of went at it like, hey, like let's do some workshops together, right? So we can all like grab some leads together, etc. But I've never actually like said to one of my folks, like, do you want to hand me some leads? So
If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Absolutely.
it's true. That's a really great point.
And you know, the mortgage banker, you're gonna want to have a team around you because and they're gonna want to be a part of your team if you're doing business. So you're gonna want to have a few real estate attorneys, you're going to have a few mortgage bankers, you're going to want to have a mover, you're going to want to have all of these services. And since you're going to be feeding them, you should be able to say to them, hey guys, if you have any referrals, please send them my way as well. But unfortunately, a lot of these people tend to be downstream of us. So, so they have to be prompted sometimes to think of us if they have come across something that wasn't from us.
And that's exactly what I mean too, Brian, when I talk about being specific, right? And saying, hey, here is the type of client that I really look for, because our mind is just, it's got too much information and too much data that's hitting it on a daily and weekly basis for us to just think about your name correlative with real estate and forget everybody else that's out there, right? And the minute it becomes complicated for me to try to figure out what did you do again, you're out of sight, out of mind. And so I also like to tell people, think about the types of clients that are calling a mortgage broker. Why would they be calling a mortgage broker, you know, without being prompted by an agent already? And what I find commonly, especially in residential, is new home sales, right? People will find a new home or start to look at new homes and they're like, I don't even know what I can afford. And so they immediately then contact, you know, a mortgage broker or a loan officer to start the pre-qualification process. So telling a loan officer, you know, hey, I'm a specialist in new homes and new home communities, that connects you to a high probability of some of their lead volume, just based on situational alignment. So it's something to consider as you guys are kind of talking and making these relationships. But I think if you start the conversations with where do your leads come from, like where is your volume? If I look at you as a mortgage professional or an attorney and I say, like, let's look at the last 50 deals that you did, what's the correlation? What's the average price point? That helps you build then a niche around their specific lead volume. Okay.
May I add something to that, Michael?
Yeah, Brian, absolutely. Always.
What I've found, I've been in the business for 22 years, is people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. So not only asking those questions, but actually having one-to-ones with people where you just get to know them, get to know who they are, where they're from, not necessarily initially about business, and then start talking about these business specifics. You know, they'll remember you more because you know that their kids play soccer, or you know that, you know, just the same as we do with our clients. If we
Great
do
advice.
that with third parties, you know, they tend to think of us more.
Great advice. Great advice. I love that. Always a good session, guys. Thank you guys for coming out, spending time on a Thursday with us. I am going to pull the plug because I do have a noon right after this one on us, but I'll be back on the 28th. I think Chris Thoman will be here next week, but I will be back on the 28th. I want to say talking about open house conversions. So look forward to seeing you guys then. Parker, thank you guys all for your contribution today. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.